we've spoken about this entire pirate movie, and we haven't spoken about the sword fighting, right? I really like the choreography. I love the movement, especially I think with Jack and Will, the first fight in the blacksmith thing. I really loved how coordinated things were. It felt almost like they were sparring, like both of them knew how to use. It's essentially like almost like watching Star Wars with two Jedi's, right? Both of them knew exactly where to, you know, defend, attack, when to do that, um, and the conversation also around it was pretty
I
interesting.
think personally, I had more fun with the battle of the ships,
Okay.
where you've got the fastest ship um, in the this thing, and how Jack tricks them to kind of um, switch over to the other ship he has at the time, only to steal the quicker ship and get away with it. And eventually, when Black Pearl um, like comes up on them, that whole sequence of how they turn and they kind of like fire those things, and I think one of them just misses him or something like that, and you kind of see it through the whole.
Yeah, do they put like forks and spoons and all in this?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
this the
yeah.
one? Yeah, yeah,
And someone's eye, like the one of those two characters, right? I
yeah.
think they have the fork go into their eye and it just pops up. So I found that to be a lot more entertaining. Obviously, yeah, like I mean, the sword fights were nice, but for me, like the ship scene was definitely a lot more memorable.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Aaron, what's your take on that?
I like the sword fighting. That was pretty cool. I think again, for something of that time, it was quite different to your what you would normally watch, and I think there was the chaos also added to the whole thing. So they had so many things going on in the background. That was pretty cool. But I think also, like Naeem said, I did enjoy the bits where you had the ships and all involved, just because, again, it just adds to the whole pirate theme and everything like that. And so that's what you kind of imagine what battles at sea would have been like when pirates were going at it against
Yeah.
each other, the whole firing cannons at each other, and then just because out of sheer desperation being innovative with like these fork spoons or whatever and all the whatever you could get your hand onto and that sort of chaos. So I think that also was pretty fun only because again it's something that you kind of I don't think it was so far-fetched, and it probably was how things were back then. So yeah, it was fun plus also with probably a bit of realism to it. So it was pretty cool.
I think for Jack Sparrow, like no one else now can emulate the sort of character and personality like Johnny Depp could. I think even his real life personality maybe had a thing to it because
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, knowing Johnny Depp for the person he is, I think also adds to it because you're like, how much of this is actually acting, It's like in terms of him not brushing his teeth or having those crazy amount of rings on his finger and stuff like that. Where he's got again probably not the right word, but he's got that kind of hippie hobo kind of vibe, and that goes very well with the Jack Sparrow character. So yeah.
no, that's a perfect explanation because I would have imagined or pictured Johnny Depp just being so excited to wear that entire that pirate costume. Like
Um,
he would have jumped at the chance of wearing that entire costume, and I think he's taken it to like fish to water. I think he's really enjoyed playing that role, and you've seen him even like kind of do marketing activities with that costume, and he
in
really
character,
enjoys.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I said that this was meant for kids, but there were quite a few adult jokes around there. I mean, least of all, I suppose when Jack rescues Elizabeth from drowning and tears off her corset, you have going to Tortuga, all of that, right? Like, so it's not exactly kid friendly, also. But then again, nor was Cartoon Network back in the 90s and 2000s, and we still
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
but also in the sense that I don't think it's too. obvious in any way. It's very subtle in those things. Like even when it has that adult side of comedy or whatever you want to call it, I don't think it's too obvious in any way or too, what's the right word I'm looking for? It doesn't look cheap
Yeah,
at any point, I suppose.
Yeah, I think there was no vulgarity to it.
Exactly.
It probably was more like a subtle nod to probably the adults that were watching the movie, but I think it would have probably gone over a lot of kids' heads that were watching the movie. And so, yeah, and I think like if you see a lot of movies do that, even the animated ones, they kind of throw in some stuff for like the parents that are watching the movie along with the kids. And so, yeah, you can't fault them for that, to be fair.
fair. No, I'm not faulting. I love the fact that they had that because I mean,
Yeah.
watching it now as adults, you can really take that appreciation, right? Back then, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, fine," but now you really can appreciate all of it.
Mm.
Fun fact, though, I think I watched this movie only after the third one, if I'm not mistaken. Either that or I watched this maybe just the day before I watched the third one. So it was like I remember booking already the tickets for the third one and then having like shit. Maybe I should quickly go watch the earlier two. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, but creepy as fuck because when we start the movie, Elizabeth's a small girl and Commodore Norrington is an adult,
I
right?
think it goes with the time back then, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but I didn't pick it
Yeah.
up when I watched it first, but like at the start, it's like Elizabeth finding Will, and they're both kids, and Commodore Norrington is like already like an adult who's leading an entire brigade. He's not even like one of those side characters, lackeys or something like that. He's like the main guy, and you're like 20. I don't even know how long it is. I'm pretty sure it's not 20 years, but I'm sure it a
Mm.
sizable time has passed, maybe 10 years, and you wonder
Mm.
what's going on. But yes, I mean, I'm not one to judge. We've seen this even in today's world. The age is nothing, but it was a bit creepy to start off with. That this is someone that you've seen when they were 5, 6, and then you're like, yeah, I want to marry you.
Uh, yeah, no comments there.
I think it's to do with the times anyway. Like we can't really like. I think it was accepted pretty much back in the day, and age is not is just a number, as they say, I suppose, and that's kind of how it works. I mean,
Not
I don't
always.
I
I mean,
too
after a
deep into
certain age,
this,
yes, then age is just a number. But below that,
but then again, like I mean, at that point, obviously, it is that right. Like it's not like he's
yeah,
hitting on the kid.
like these two characters were a bit two-dimensional. Yeah, I think both played like the damsel in distress in two
Mm.
different forms. Like Elizabeth definitely did because
Yeah.
she, for some reason, said she's Elizabeth Turner without knowing anything whatsoever, which is a weird choice to say because I don't know whether she thought that if she said she was Elizabeth Swan, the pirates would have just killed her, and maybe because she said she was a Turner. I'm just trying to understand her rationale
Yeah, so
behind.
I saw it in two different ways. Or at least that's how I was justifying it. One was she didn't want them to know she was the governor's daughter, which
Mm-hmm.
maybe would make more sense for them to hold on to her. Secondly, the second possibility was that maybe she had an inkling that because of the locket that she had, um, maybe Will belongs to one of the pirate families or things like that, and probably taking his like the Turner name may give her a chance to kind of survive or something like that, like along those lines. I think it's the former rather than the latter.
I
But yeah,
think it was the latter more than I think she knew that they were after the medallion, and I think initially I think maybe saying Turner gave her an opportunity to not be killed, but then I guess also because I don't think they were really keen on whether the governor's daughter or not, right? Like, not exactly. They weren't
but
exactly after looting or.
isn't it at some point where one of the maids says you're the governor's daughter or something like
So
that.
that's what. So from their angle, it's like the pirates always come to loot people, rob people. They don't know that the real purpose of the pirates, in this case, is to kidnap the person who has the medallion so that they can get free of the curse.
But even when she's on the ship, they don't have clarity on that front, right? Like they still don't know what the pirates are behind. They just
Who?
know that they've ransacked the place.
No. So Elizabeth knows that it's the medallion that they're after.
Really.
I think so. I'm guessing that's what. I think when they're brought onto the ship, that's where they get the medallion, right? I
Oh yeah.
think
I mean, she
Barbosa.
says at some point she does come to that realization, or she
Yeah,
uses as one of the this thing saying that you may want that. I don't know if that's she says. I don't recall if she says exactly that this is what you're looking for, or it's more like I have something of interest like for you or something like
yeah.
that.
No, but because she gets onto the ship by just saying parlay, right? The whole point is she doesn't tell the two numbskulls that
No,
she
she says
is
parlay because otherwise she was gonna get killed, right?
exactly. So at that point she says parlay, but I think she uses the name Turner. I think perhaps more. I'm not sure, but maybe she's intrigued as to what it is, or I don't know if it's just because it's the governor's
I
daughter.
like for me it's more former than the latter simply because she has to think on her feet
Hmm.
and at the time she thinks that I'm the governor's daughter, I shouldn't give my name, and it's like let me avoid that. So what is the first surname that comes into mind? It's Turner because, well, again there are two things there. One, she constantly thinks about him and probably wants to be a Turner at some point.
Yeah.